This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Beryl has been downgraded to a tropical storm after sweeping into Texas as a Category 1 hurricane.
Cut the house in half.
I'm Julie Walker.
President Biden is resisting calls from some Democrats to drop his reelection bid.
I am not going anywhere.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A New Mexico judge has ruled that actor Alec Baldwin's role is not relevant to the involuntary manslaughter charge against him. I'm Margie Szaroleta with the latest.
Republicans are moving to adopt Donald Trump's stand on abortion.
Many states will be different.
I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, stocks were mixed yesterday. Investors are waiting for the Fed chair to appear on Capitol Hill today. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
3 Columbia deans may want to update their resume. We'll be telling you why. Plus, fireworks and the forest fire. All ahead on America in the Morning. Hurricane Beryl smashed into the Texas coast as a Category 1 hurricane, leaving millions in the dark, wind gusts of more than 80 miles an hour in Houston, and at least 4 people dead, including a police officer on his way to work. This morning's update with Correspondent Julie Walker.
Very serious amount of water in excess of 10 inches across most of our city, approaching 90 miles per hour winds.
Oh, my God, I just lost another tree. Oh, shoot. Wow, that's a big tree, and it's down. Oh, no.
We are in a severely flooded area of North Houston, picking up people who need to be rescued and take them to gallery furniture. As you can see, the water's so high, these cars are over 50% submerged, just completely nuts.
Yesterday was the surf was like a 1.5 foot swell, and this morning it was about 6.
Beryl has been downgraded to a tropical storm after sweeping into Texas as a Category 1 hurricane with heavy rains and powerful winds.
With the amount of downed trees and there have been other trees go into houses and crush vehicles and driveways. Harris County Constable Mark Herman says at least 2 people, a man and a woman in his area, are dead after trees fell on their home. A 74-year-old grandmother lost her life to a tree that had fallen into the house and basically cut the house in half, crushing her underneath the tree and killing her. The hurricane knocking out power to more than 2 million homes and businesses, fast rising waters causing street flooding and water rescues near Houston.
I want to say we've had 3 total high water rescues. I can't give you an exact number because all of our systems are down at the moment. We have limited internet, so it's hard to go in and verify that. But 3 that I can recall overnight during the storm. We've had a lot of flooded roads and some trees down.
Rosenberg Police Captain Suni Jugurta.
It was a lady that was just getting off work, just trying to make it home. It's not, she didn't have a choice in driving in that weather. And she called and said she had water going in her vehicle. And so they went out there in the high water vehicles that we have. And the officers helped her.
She says there were several rescues. Dramatic video shows people in chest-high water being pulled out. I'm Julie Walker.
Despite pleas from some high-ranking Democrats, President Biden continues to strongly resist calls from those in his party to end his re-election bid. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
For all the talk out there about this race, Joe has made it clear that he's all in. Thank you. Thank you. That's the decision that he's made.
President Biden is resisting calls from some Democrats to drop his reelection bid.
All the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, the 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee.
It's a drama that's torn the party apart since the president's dismal debate showing, but he is standing firm.
Just like he's did it before in 2020, and he's going to do this right now, Joe Biden has held every line. 2 wars, a pandemic. Look at our economy.
I make no apologies. Pro-union president in American history. No, I mean it. You've heard me say it before, but I'll say it again and again and again.
The middle class built this country, not Wall Street.
In a 2-page letter to congressional Democrats, the president says he declines to step aside and that it's instead time for the intra-party drama to end. Later, in a phone interview with MSNBC's Morning Joe, the president said he's frustrated by calls from party officials to bow out, telling congressional Democrats in a letter he will not bow out and it's time to end the infighting.
I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more.
And he threw down the gauntlet, telling critics if they're serious, they should challenge him at next month's Democratic convention.
But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
A-list actor Alec Baldwin on trial when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back to America in the Morning. Update now on Beryl from AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Beryl made landfall yesterday morning with flooding rain, damaging winds, and several tornadoes, and then shifted northward through eastern Texas, and heavy rain moved into eastern Oklahoma, into Arkansas late in the day, and then through the early morning hours this morning. Beryl will continue to lose wind intensity as it moves northeastward today and tonight. However, the system will still have abundant rainfall associated with it. It will continue to expand through Missouri into Illinois before reaching Michigan late today and tonight. Rain amounts along the heaviest path could range from 4 to 8 inches. A few stronger storms will also be possible on the southern side of the system from southeast Missouri into northern Kentucky and southern Indiana, which could produce a tornado or two. Outside of Beryl, showers and thunderstorms will be fairly limited in coverage. There will be some showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana into Florida, but just spotty afternoon thunderstorms through the rest of the southeast into the middle Atlantic and along the coast in the northeast. A few thunderstorms could also develop in parts of Minnesota into Wisconsin and Michigan. The weather will be improving across Texas today as Beryl moves away. There will still be a shower or two early, but most areas will be drying out for the necessary cleanup efforts. The central and northern plains will remain largely dry from Kansas to North Dakota with highs mostly in the 80s. And in the west, the scorching heat will continue, which will extend the already significant heat wave. Plenty of sunshine will encompass the region with afternoon temperatures well into the 100s again. Like yesterday, many records are likely to fall. Outside of the aforementioned thunderstorm activity, it is also going to be quite hot in the middle Atlantic and northeast with highs well into the 90s. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. Actor Alec Baldwin appeared in a New Mexico court Monday as his manslaughter trial prepares to get underway. Correspondent Margie Szaroleta reports on a judge's ruling that favors Baldwin as the prosecution and defense begin jury selection this morning.
A New Mexico judge has ruled that actor Alec Baldwin's role as a co-producer on the movie Rust is not relevant to the involuntary manslaughter charge against him in the shooting death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins in 2021. Prosecutors had argued in a pretrial hearing on Monday that Alec Baldwin knew he was acting negligently on the set of the movie Rust because he was a co-producer.
On October 21st, when he points that gun at Ms. Hutchins, he should know that as a producer, he's responsible for her safety because that is one of the things that producers are responsible for.
Judge Mary Marlowe Summers sided with Baldwin's defense.
Look at those safety bulletins carefully. I'm sure Your Honor's read them many times. They say nothing about the producer not pointing the gun. They say the exclusive responsibility of gun safety is on the prop master, the armorer, the first assistant director. Doesn't say anything about a producer.
She said she had difficulty with prosecutors' position that Baldwin allowed safety lapses as a producer that caused Baldwin as an actor to shoot Helena Hutchins during a rehearsal.
As a producer, he didn't follow guidelines, and therefore, as an actor, Mr. Baldwin did all these things wrong.
Jury selection is set to begin Tuesday. I'm Margie Szaroleta.
Ahead of next week's Republican National Convention, the GOP is set to abandon a decades-long push for a federal abortion ban. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
The former president has taken credit for overturning Roe v. Wade, but is not pushing for a national abortion ban, letting states decide.
Many states will be different. Many will have a different number of weeks, or some will have more conservative than others, and that's what they will be.
For the first time in 40 years, the Republican National Committee is working to remove language calling for a nationwide abortion ban. It's part of a scaled-down platform, just 16 pages, and with limited specifics. It reflects a desire by the Trump campaign to avoid giving Democrats more material for their warnings about what the former president intends to do if he wins in November. I'm Ed Donahue.
When we return on America in the Morning, an update on Gulf Coast oil refineries and spathing, spending more to save more. We'll explain after these messages. America in the Morning, back with you now. The Business Report is sponsored by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments takes a disciplined approach with investing, helping clients navigate volatile markets. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a mixed day for stocks. The Nasdaq opening at a fresh all-time high today. Hurricane Beryl hit Texas as a Category 1 storm with mixed results for the energy business, but oil prices fell.
Energy prices falling as markets bet the worst of the damage was avoided. Citgo said that now that the storm has blown through, it's in the process of returning to normal operations. Exxon said operations are stable at all of its Gulf Coast sites. Still, across Texas, more than 2.7 million customers are without power, and there still could be refinery damages amid the high winds and flooding.
CNBC's Pippa Stevens. Media and tech executives are in Sun Valley this morning for the Allen & Company conference this week, where deals are made and streaming alliances are on the agenda. Sports also playing a big role in conversations. Rights for live sports are really valuable, luring in the biggest audiences. Paramount Global, which owns the Paramount Movie Studio, CBS Television, CBS News, and cable channels like Comedy Central and MTV, will merge with a suitor it previously rejected, Skydance.
The new chairman and CEO of the combined company will be David Ellison, and Jeff Shell, formerly CEO of NBC Universal, will be its president. The new company will be positioned to improve profitability. That is a nod to its recent struggles. The deal is expected to be completed in the first half of 2025. Now, this agreement includes a 45-day go-shop period in which Paramount's board can solicit alternative proposals. But given the fact that less than a month ago, the board rejected the Skydance deal and drew interest from Barry Diller and others, the deal has effectively already been shopped around.
CNBC's Julia Borston. Target will stop accepting personal checks on Monday at the checkout. It tells NBC News people just don't use them much anymore. Walmart's Deals for Days sale is on, up against the Target Circle Week sale, and they're both designed to head off Amazon's Prime Day sale that runs for 2 days next Tuesday and Wednesday.
Something our listeners should be aware of, spathing and why it's so dangerous.
Yeah, lots of people are busting their budgets because of spathing.
Spathing is spending more to save more.
CNBC's Jessica Dickler says companies have figured out how to get us to spend more on things we actually don't mean to buy, like BOGOs. Buy one, get one free or half off.
Yeah, the deal feels too good to pass up. I'll just get one more thing and it'll be half off. But at the end of the day, we are spending money that we really don't have. And it is putting a lot of people into credit card debt, and it can be very dangerous.
Jessica's whole piece on spathing is at CNBC.com. On today's watch list, it is day one of Fed Chair Jay Powell's regular testimony on Capitol Hill. Investors are listening to hear what he has to say about interest rates.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, turning the tables on campus after anti-Israel demonstrations. After these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. New fallout over the anti-Israel disruptions at Columbia University. Correspondent Haya Panjwani brings us details on 3 Ivy League administrators losing their posts over anti-Semitic texts.
Columbia University announced that it has removed 3 administrators from their positions and will keep them on leave indefinitely after finding inappropriate text messages they exchanged during a campus discussion about Jewish life. The unnamed administrators were first put on leave last month after a conservative news outlet published images of what it said were text messages they exchanged while attending the May 31st panel discussion of Jewish life on campus, past, present, and future. One text made derogatory comments about a panelist, and another panned a campus rabbi's essay about anti-Semitism. The university says they will launch an anti-Semitism and anti-discrimination training program for faculty, staff, and students in the fall. I'm Heya Panjwani.
Fireworks, fun to watch, but firefighters in New Jersey have spent the last several days dealing with a heat wave-fueled forest fire that consumed thousands of acres, and illegal fireworks appear to be the cause. The fire at the Wharton State Forest has burned over 4,000 acres, but is now 75% contained. Authorities are now investigating to determine who may have been responsible. Police report that so far, no structures have been damaged, and fortunately, no firefighters have been injured. Thank you, first responders everywhere, for your dedication. America in the Morning for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024, is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
A deadly heat wave continues to scorch the western U.S.
I don't know how anything can survive out here.
I'm Jim Roop in Los Angeles.
More than 100 people were shot in Chicago during the extended 4th of July holiday weekend. I'm Pamela Furrer.
Washington preps for the NATO summit as Russia bombs Ukraine.
Defense lawyers are seeking to prevent a new trial against financial analyst Karen Reed. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Closing arguments have started in New York in the bribery trial of New Jersey Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. I'm Ed Donahue.
Most medical students at Johns Hopkins University will no longer pay tuition. I'm Rita Foley.
Back after these messages. Beryl, a hurricane spawning tornadoes. Welcome back to America in the Morning. Here's today's forecast from AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Beryl made landfall yesterday morning with devastating effect, producing flooding rain, damaging winds, and several tornadoes. Millions lost power. Heavy rain shifted northward through eastern Oklahoma into Arkansas late in the day into the early morning hours this morning. Beryl will continue to lose wind intensity as it moves northeastward today and tonight. However, the system will still have abundant rainfall associated with it. This will continue to expand through Missouri into Illinois before reaching Michigan late in the day and tonight. Rain amounts along the heaviest path could still range from 4 to 8 inches. A few stronger storms will also be possible on the southern side of the system from southeast Missouri into northern Kentucky and southern Indiana, which could still produce a tornado or two. Outside of Beryl, showers and thunderstorms will be once again fairly limited in coverage. There will be some showers and thunderstorms along the Gulf Coast from Louisiana into Florida, but just spotty afternoon thunderstorms through the rest of the southeast into the middle Atlantic and along the coast in the northeast. A few thunderstorms will also be possible over Minnesota into Wisconsin and Michigan. The weather will be improving across Texas today as Beryl moves away. There will be a shower or two around early, but most areas will be dry for the necessary cleanup efforts associated with the storm. The central and northern plains will be largely dry today from Kansas to North Dakota with highs mostly in the 80s, and the west will still have scorching heat with highs well into the 100s. That's the weather across America. Another hot day for Medford, Oregon with plenty of sunshine. The high of 108 will be the 6th straight day of record heat. Indianapolis, Indiana will have cloudy skies with rain from Beryl arriving and a high of 78. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. As Texas begins to clean up from Beryl after it battered parts of the state with flooding rain, storm surge, and hurricane-force winds, a history-making heat wave is setting records in the West with triple-digit temperatures from Arizona and California into Washington state and Idaho, and fueling out-of-control wildfires. With an update, here's Jim Roop.
This record-setting heat wave continues as dozens of daily record temperatures will be tied or broken across the West. Salt Lake City, Utah, hovering between 100 and 105 degrees this week. Spokane, Washington, and northern Idaho also hitting triple digits, as well as Arizona, with Phoenix hitting 115 degrees, not seen since 1985. Las Vegas hit a record Sunday, reaching 120 degrees, and this heat has turned deadly. 4 people died from heat-related illness in 100-degree-plus temperatures in Portland. A motorcyclist riding through Death Valley National Park in California died from the 128-degree record temperature on Saturday. Park Ranger Matthew Lamar.
So when you step out of your vehicle, it's like stepping your entire body out into an oven. It's just baking, and particularly when you're at these higher temperatures, 125, 100, and potentially 30, there's no mistaking how hot it is.
California Governor Gavin Newsom urging residents to just be smart in these extreme temperatures.
Stay safe by staying hydrated, staying indoors, staying in shade. Bottom line, keep yourself and your family safe.
The number one weather killer in California is extreme heat, which is also giving firefighters a fit as they deal with nearly 24 wildfires in the state. The largest, the so-called Lake Fire, burning in Santa Barbara County. It began Friday. It scorched more than 20,000 acres, has very little containment, single digits. Not only is that fire threatening many wineries in the region, but also Neverland Ranch, the former home of the late pop star Michael Jackson. Santa Barbara County Fire Captain Scott Safechuk.
The fire has come down to that property and the adjacent properties, and Midland School is across the street from there. So we have bulldozers and hotshot crews, and they're actively working and making great progress.
This heat wave, the extreme fire danger, the risk of heat-related illness and death continues through at least the rest of this week. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
Over the 4th of July holiday weekend, more than 100 people were shot in the city of Chicago. The Windy City's mayor, Brandon Johnson, says the city is losing a piece of its soul. Pamela Furr has this follow-up.
City leaders are calling for accountability.
Over 100 people have been shot in this city. 19 people have been killed this holiday weekend. These are not just numbers on paper.
That's Mayor Brandon Johnson.
When this reckless violence ravages across our city at this magnitude, we are losing a piece of the soul of Chicago. And it deeply pains me to admit that, but it is true. But I will not stand idly by. We will not be passive in this moment. We need to ensure that we are holding every single individual accountable for the pain and trauma and the torment that they have caused in this city.
Last year, 11 people were killed and 62 wounded over the 4-day holiday weekend. Mayor Johnson says with the help of more requested federal resources, he'll double down on efforts to get guns off the street and demand people step up and say something if they know who caused the violence. Chicago PD Superintendent Larry Snelling.
We have to really stop and think about the mindset of someone who will shoot a child, a helpless child, an unarmed mother, and think that that's okay, and go about their days. Those people have to be taken off the street.
And while he says there will be consequences for the holiday violence, he did not say if any arrests have been made. I'm Pamela Furr.
Barricades have gone up in Washington, D.C. as the U.S. hosts the NATO summit starting today, celebrating 75 years of the founding of the Transatlantic Group of Nations. The meeting comes at a time when it continues to face the ongoing battle between Russia and Ukraine. Member nations working to keep up with their funding for both NATO and assistance for Kyiv, and uncertainty by the member nations as to who will lead the United States next year and how that could impact both the organization and Ukrainian funding. NATO member states are planning to vote at the summit on maintaining the $43 billion annual payments for military aid for Ukraine. And as NATO prepares to meet in Washington with President Volodymyr Zelensky in attendance, back in Europe, Russia launched a daylight missile attack on 5 Ukrainian cities, including in Kyiv, where a children's hospital was partially flattened, among over 100 buildings hit, and more than 36 were killed. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma reports this was the deadliest Russian airstrike to hit Ukraine in months.
Officials in Ukraine say a major Russian missile attack has killed dozens and injured around 100 people across the country. One missile struck a large children's hospital in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, and emergency crews searched the rubble for casualties. Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko visits the site of a destroyed residential building in the capital. He says 17 flats were damaged and that rescuers are in there working and are hearing the voices and people under the rubble. The daylight attacks, including King Zal hypersonic missiles, one of the most advanced Russian weapons, the Ukrainian Air Force says. The head of Ukraine's presidential office, Andriy Yermak, said the attack occurred at a time when many people were on the city's streets. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Coming up next, embattled senator accused of selling his influence. Tech news, sports, and more when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. This is America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. The Massachusetts trial of a woman acquitted of murder in the killing of her police officer boyfriend may not be over just yet. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports the judge in the case ordered the impounding of the list of jury members after lawyers claim that 3 of the jurors say there was an agreement made to vote the way they did.
Attorney Alan Jackson says he has information from some of the jurors on the panel that deadlocked last week, saying they were unanimous that she wasn't guilty of murder in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, nor of leaving the scene of a deadly accident. Attorney Jackson, July 1st, when the jury deadlocked.
This is what it looks like when you bring false charges against an innocent person.
Now he's filed a motion telling the court if the jury was in agreement that she's innocent on those counts and only deadlocked on a manslaughter charge, then trying Reed again for murder would constitute double jeopardy. The prosecution says it's still looking forward to picking a new trial date later this month. I'm Jackie Quinn.
In New York, closing arguments are heard in the case against New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez, where prosecutors say he put his congressional power up for sale. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports.
Prosecutor Paul Monteleone told the jury the one-time chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee put his power up for sale to benefit 3 New Jersey businessmen. Menendez is accused of receiving hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold, cash, and a luxury convertible. Monteleone said they have fingerprint evidence on tape that bound thousands of dollars in cash hidden in coat pockets, boots, and boxes found at a home owned by Menendez's wife. Monteleone is not done yet. Menendez's lawyers will get their chance later. They have argued the gold bars belong to the senator's wife, and the hidden cash is just his habit of storing cash at home. I'm Ed Donahue.
On the same day, Boeing agreed to take a plea deal from the Department of Justice over crashes related to the 737 MAX incidents that killed over 300 people. United Airlines reported a serious issue with one of their Boeing-made passenger jets. Lisa Dwyer reports.
Authorities say a United Airlines Boeing jet lost a main landing gear wheel while taking off from Los Angeles. The jet later landed safely in Denver. The airline says there were no reported injuries on the ground or on board Flight 1001. The wheel was recovered in Los Angeles. The Boeing 757-200 was carrying 174 passengers and 7 crew members. And it's the second time a United Boeing jet has lost a tire in the past few months. In March, a United Boeing B777-200 jet lost a tire mid-air after takeoff from San Francisco. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A new poll suggests major trust issues when it comes to the public's ability to believe the media's coverage of the 2024 election campaign. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
53% of those who responded to the poll by the American Press Institute, the Associated Press, and the Nork Center for Public Affairs Research say they're extremely or very concerned that news organizations will report inaccuracies or misinformation during the election. 42% express worry that news outlets will use generative artificial intelligence to create stories. 47% express serious concern that news outlets would report information that has yet to be confirmed or verified, and 44% worry that accurate information will be presented in a way that favors one side. Michael Bolden, CEO of the American Press Institute, says a lot of suspicion about journalists is sown by politicians, but Bolden says there's also a growing disconnect between news organizations and communities that news outlets need to address. I'm Donna Warder.
Scientists have grown human skin in a laboratory to be used to make robots more lifelike and potentially cure some human skin diseases as well. More on the breakthrough from tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
Scientists have discovered a way to bind bioengineered skin tissue to humanoid robots, enhancing their mobility, healing abilities, and sensory capabilities. This radical new advancement comes from Japanese researchers that have developed a method to bind the engineered skin tissue to the robot's metal frame, but could also have great advancements to impact medical research, cosmetic testing, and the development of more lifelike robots. The new lab-grown skin tissue adheres to underlying complex structures of any of the features it adheres to, much the way that skin ligaments do in human tissue. And because it's actual skin tissue grown in the lab, human expressions can be placed on robot faces, as well as self-healing for repairing damage. Developed by Professor Soji Takeuchi from the University of Tokyo, he said the skin tissue could also be useful in research into skin aging, cosmetics, surgical procedures, and plastic surgery, as well as other skin-related ailments. I'm Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning's Robert Workman has your check of sports.
Baseball Monday, the Tigers blanked the first-place Guardians 1-0. Three Motown hurlers allowed just 3 hits, the only run of the game scoring on an 8th-inning error. Reds whitewashed the Rockies 6-0 behind the 4-hit pitching of Andrew Abbott and the Costellos. Rookie Rhys Hines belted a 449-foot homer in his Major League debut. Well done, Meat. Cardinals shut out the Nationals 6-0. Miles Michaelis and the Odometers scattered 8 hits. Alec Burleson homered and drove in 3. Pirates plundered the Mets 8-2. Mitch Keller went 8 innings for his 10th win.
Yeah, we used both the slider and the sweeper. Yeah, I was really happy with both of those, how they played well together, and yeah, just a lot of good outcomes when we threw both of those pitches.
O'Neal Cruz and Joshua Palacios went deep. Twins scored 2 in the 11th to trip the White Sox 8-6. Braves rallied in the 9th, 10th, and 11th to down the Diamondbacks 5-4, and the Rangers ripped the Angels 9-4. Corey Seager extended his hitting streak to 13 games with a mammoth 457-foot blast to center in the first inning. Wimbledon 4th round, an upset. American 13 seed Taylor Fritz dropped the first 2 sets to Alexander Zverev, then roared back to beat the 4 seed and advance to the quarterfinals. It was the 11th time in this year's tournament that a player has rallied from 2 sets down to win. That's a new record. And the 35th match to go 5 sets. That ties the highest number at any Grand Slam event in the Open era with nearly a week to go. 2-seed Novak Djokovic then followed with a straight set win. Men's quarters today with another American, 12-seed Tommy Paul, facing defending champion Carlos Alcaraz. And top seed Jannik Sinner goes up against 5-seed Daniil Medvedev. Women's quarterfinals today, the last American standing, number 19 Emma Navarro, meets 7-seed Jasmine Paolini. Those of you who were worried that Connecticut coach Dan Hurley might have trouble making ends meet after turning down that $70 million offer from the Lakers last month can relax. Hurley and the 2-time defending national champions have agreed on a new 6-year contract worth $50 million plus incentives. Hurley and the Huskies can now set their sights on a 3rd straight title, a feat accomplished only by the John Wooden UCLA teams over 50 years ago. That's Tuesday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, actor linked to January 6th attacks on the Capitol, plus $1 billion thanks from donor to doctor. Those stories and more after these messages. Welcome back here with America in the Morning. It's a massive merger between 2 entertainment leaders. Correspondent Margie Szaroleta reports on the bringing together of Paramount and Skydance.
If regulators approve, the combined company of Paramount and Skydance will be valued at around $28 billion. It would be called New Paramount. The deal is expected to close in September 2025. Paramount has been around since 1914 and is responsible for such films as The Godfather and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Skydance was founded in 2010 and has worked with Paramount on Top Gun Maverick and the Mission Impossible movies. Executives said in a conference call on Monday that the goals of New Paramount include rebuilding the Paramount Plus streaming service and addressing the declining growth of linear television. I'm Margie Szaroleta.
Known for a number of roles, including in the movie Anchorman and on Bob's Burgers, correspondent Haya Panjwani reports actor Jay Johnston could spend time in jail after pleading guilty for his participation in the January 6th attacks.
An actor has pleaded guilty to interfering with police officers trying to protect the U.S. Capitol from a mob's attack. Jay Johnston of Los Angeles faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to a felony count of civil disorder. U.S. District Judge Carl Nichols is scheduled to sentence Johnston on October 7th. Johnston was arrested last June. He is one of more than 1,400 people charged with federal crimes stemming from the January 6th, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
A billionaire's gift will now make the lives of students studying to become doctors a bit easier. Rita Foley reports a philanthropist is donating $1 billion, so most medical students will be tuition-free at Johns Hopkins University.
Most medical students at Johns Hopkins University will no longer pay tuition, thanks to a $1 billion gift from Bloomberg Philanthropies. Starting in the fall, the gift will cover full tuition for medical students from families earning less than $300,000. Living expenses and fees will be covered for students from families who earn up to $175,000. Bloomberg Philanthropies founder Michael Bloomberg says the gift will allow students to serve more families and communities who need them the most. And although this may sound stunning, Johns Hopkins will be only the latest medical school to offer free tuition to most or all of its medical students after gifts from benefactors. I'm Rita Foley.
That's our show for today. America in the Morning for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.